Hi everybody, it's May 7th, 2025, and this is my today's video update of my video journal of my recovery from the trauma of watching my little brother Paul Kieran, 64, with Down syndrome, be locked up by the British Columbia New Democratic Party government with David Eby as a leader for 588 days. And then he died at Burnaby Hospital after some kind of brain incident. They locked him away after I complained to the Burnaby RCMP about what appeared to me to be a fraudulent and forged power of attorney, naming the government appointed my 82-year-old Catholic nun sister 4,000 kilometers away in Ontario, who'd only met Paul on a few occasions over the course of his life, as his guardian, so they could give him the COVID-19 shot. So Paul died, and then after he died, the evil nun filed an application, or actually just before he died, the evil nun found out that she was being investigated, that the Burnaby RCMP had reopened the investigation. They'd been ordered by Ottawa to reopen the investigation into the fraudulent and forged power of attorney. And so she filed an application to have me declared a vexatious litigant. You may never have heard of that term before, but it is a mechanism by which another party can take away all of your rights, your civil rights in court, so that I can't defend myself in court. Although I was trained as a lawyer, I was the first single mother in history to graduate from law school in British Columbia. And they took away all of Paul's rights and locked him up with no visits and no visitors. I was his last surviving family member and visitor from a big family of 6 adult children and my mom. They locked him away for 588 days, and then after he died, I believe they did medical assistance in dying on him, even though he was not capable of consenting to it. Then they went after me to take away all of my rights. So if somebody sues me, anyone can sue me and I can't respond. And if I'm offended against, I can't sue anybody. It's a very rare designation, but the evil nun in Ontario, with all the resources in the world, she had 3 law firms working for her, paid for by the Catholic Church, of which I'm a member. So the Catholic Church was in a conflict of interest. So on November 29th of 2024, a judge declared me a vexatious litigant and took away all my civil rights. So I have appealed that decision, and because of the way the judge went ahead and had the hearing take place over full days, even though I had a medical certificate from my family doctor and from my cardiologist saying that I can't appear in court for longer than 2 hours per day. I had a heart attack in November of 2016, and I have lupus. But the judge went ahead and she had full day hearings. But I've applied for, I was given leave to appeal. Basically, the Court of Appeal of British Columbia invited me to appeal the decision, but the way the judge worded her decision, I had to file 3 notices of appeal at $200 a piece. So whereas normally if you're appealing a decision, it only costs you $200. It cost me $600. And then yesterday I had to file the notice of hearing. The hearing's going to take place on June 24th for 2 hours and June 25th for 2 hours, so next month. And it's going to be broadcast, so you guys put that date in your diary, in your calendar, schedule it. It's so June 24th in the afternoon, 2 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, and 10 o'clock June 25th Pacific Standard Time. You can watch the hearing on, it'll be broadcast on the British Columbia Court of Appeal website. So it should be interesting. But yesterday, as I said, I had to file the notice of hearing, which cost $207, an additional $207. And then today I had to copy my set of my legal argument and my evidence book. And I had to go to Staples. I had a very nice young lady. I don't know if you can see that. I had a very, very nice young lady do all the copying for me. Lots of beautiful color photos of Paul and I. But the copying was $145.99. And I spent all day today preparing the case book. So I had to prepare a book of all the cases that I'll be referring to and the legislation I'll be referring to. And that was 142 pages long. I had to print that off today. It took me the whole day. I started at 10 o'clock and I didn't finish till 6 o'clock. So basically, working on this appeal is trying to restore my visits with my brother, since it was suspended by the British Columbia government on September 12th of 2022, and then trying to appeal this decision, finding me a vexatious litigant, has consumed every minute of my time, except for when I was campaigning for the Conservative Party of British Columbia and the Conservative Party of Canada, which was a welcome break. But every other minute I've spent, I treat this as a full-time job. So as I said, I worked from 10 a.m. this morning till 6 p.m. preparing the case book. But it'll be worth it when I believe, I have every belief. I'm getting the vibe, if you can call it that, from the British Columbia Court of Appeal that they're not happy with the decision finding me a vexatious litigant, and they're not happy with what happened with the miscarriage of justice of Paul being locked up for 588 days, and then me being declared a vexatious litigant for trying to restore our visits. It's the worst miscarriage of justice in Canadian history. Paul never hurt. He was the sweetest, kindest, most generous, hardworking person that ever lived. And he didn't deserve to be locked up for one day. And then when you compare that with the alleged attacker at the Vancouver massacre that I talked about in my last video, that guy was arrested over 100 times by the Vancouver police, and then ultimately he allegedly killed 11 people and injured 20, some very gravely. And I can't imagine a worse death than being run over by a vehicle. What a horrific way to die. And because of the Supreme Court of Canada's recent decision in Regina and Bissonnette, where consecutive life sentences were turned into concurrent life sentences, the alleged perpetrator of the Vancouver massacre only faces one life sentence of 25 years. And he's only 30 years old now, so he could be out easily in 25 years. And that's due to this horrible liberal NDP, left-leaning liberal government. And I was thinking about what's so evil about it. Now, this is what's so evil, is that they locked up and threw away the key for Paul, innocent, vulnerable, sweet, my little brother Paul, who'd never hurt a flea. Him, they will lock up and throw away the key with no due process. No, he never had a lawyer. He didn't see a lawyer for 1 second. But these horrific criminals alleged criminals like this, the man who allegedly perpetrated the Vancouver massacre, they let him out 100 times. That's because it's in their interest. They see that it's in their interest to terrify the ordinary, everyday working Canadian, to keep us in a constant state of flux and fear. And that's why they let out dangerous criminals. And they lock away innocent, vulnerable, good people like my little brother. So the justice system in Canada is woefully out of whack. It's perverted. It's become perverted through Justin Trudeau and now Mark Carney. And I watched, if you look at the numbers, you can see in the election that took place on April 28th of this year, that the Liberals and the NDP ganged up Conservatives. There was a will to change to a Conservative government after 10 years of Liberal NDP mismanagement. But you can see that if you just look at the numbers, you can see that the Liberals and the NDP ganged up on the Conservatives. And I attribute that. I saw for myself when I was working for the provincial and the federal Conservative Party, when I was volunteering for them, I could see the type of person that volunteers. It's young men, hardworking, well-intentioned young men, and grandmas like me who can see the writing on the wall. They can see they have no future, and we can see that they have no future. It was the strangest, most motley crew that I knocked on over 600 doors, and my driver, I was what's called runner, and my drivers were always these young guys that were like 18, 19, 20, ambitious, hardworking, industrious young men. And here they were driving around a little old lady like me to knock on doors and try and persuade people to vote for the Conservative Party of Canada and the Conservative Party of British Columbia. Hopefully there'll be election for both soon, or I don't know how Canada will survive as we know it. So that's my thoughts for today. I love you all. Take care.